You've made it to collaborative reading today. So, welcome. Grab your collaborative reading sheet. I printed out the first 2 weeks for you in your package, and after that, you're going to need to print them at home. But for the first 2 weeks, you're all set. You've already got it in front of you. As you know, the expectations when we're reading is that you read out loud. If you fall behind, you just skip and catch up to where I'm reading. But first, we need to come up with vocabulary actions. If you look in the top right corner of your sheet, you'll find our vocabulary words for today. Now, I'm going to create actions. You can create your own actions, but remember our process for this. Each time you learn a word and its action, you then go back to the very first one, doing each action in a row. Let's get started. Surrounded. Our first vocabulary is surrounded. I imagine a circle, so I'm going to say surrounded. Our second one, iridescent. I think of a pearl when I think of iridescent, so I'm going to point at my ring. You might not have a ring, but that's going to help me remember iridescent. Then I go surrounded, iridescent, surrounded. My third word, delicate. I'm going to think of something breaking, delicate, breaking. So delicate, iridescent, surrounded. Our fourth word is clever. Well, that's a little easy. I'm going to point at my brain and I'm going to look smart. Clever, delicate, iridescent, surrounded. Jumbled. I'm going to pretend I'm throwing paper. So, jumbled, clever, delicate, iridescent, surrounded. I've already got 5 of those vocabulary words memorized in my head. Babbled. I'm going to think of talking. So instead of jumbled throwing, I'm going to do my little speech bubble. Remember? So babbled, jumbled, clever, delicate, iridescent, surrounded. Our next word is absorbed. What? Absorbed. I'm thinking of a sponge, so maybe I'll grab that sponge and I'll squeeze it. Absorbed, babbled, jumbled, clever, delicate, iridescent, surrounded. Now remember, these are my actions. If you can think of actions that work for you, use them. After absorbed, untangled. Oh man, I'm thinking of like a rope. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to make a circle, like a rope that's tangled. Untangled, absorbed, babbled, jumbled, clever, delicate, iridescent, surrounded. Now, as we read, I'm going to be reinforcing those vocabulary words by doing my actions, and you can do the same thing at home. Let's get to reading. Before we get started, I'm going to review my actions one more time to really make them concrete in my brain. So starting at the very last one, I have untangled, absorbed, babbled, jumbled, clever, delicate, iridescent, surrounded. Let's get started with reading. Chapter 1, Words. I'm surrounded by thousands of words, maybe millions. Cathedral, mayonnaise, pomegranate, Mississippi, Neapolitan, hippopotamus, silky, terrifying, iridescent, tickle, sneeze, wish, and worry. Words have always swirled around me like snowflakes, each one delicate and different, each one melting untouched in my hands. Deep within me, words pile up in huge drifts, mountains of phrases and sentences and connected ideas, clever expressions, jokes, and love songs. From the time I was really little, maybe just a few months old, words were like sweet, liquid gifts, and I drank them like lemonade. I could almost taste them. They make my jumbled thoughts and feelings have substance. My parents have always blanketed me with conversation. They chattered and babbled. They verbalized and vocalized. My father sang to me. My mother whispered her strength into my ear. Every word my parents spoke to me or about me, I absorbed and kept and remembered all of them. I have no idea how I untangled the complicated process of word and thought, but it happened quickly and naturally. By the time I was 2, all of my memories had words and all my words had meanings, but only in my head. I have never spoken one single word. I am almost 11 years old. So I'm only going to make one video for our collaborative reading for the whole week. So remember the process. If today is Monday, your job is to answer the question, which sentence best describes the main idea? If it's Tuesday, you're going to look down at the annotation. And instead of choosing one of these annotations, I would like you to do one of each of these annotations. So you need to star one important piece of information. You need to underline one important phrase or word. You need to connect your supporting ideas within the text. You need to write a question mark where questions arise as you read. So for example, maybe you don't know the meaning of some of the words like cathedral. You put a question mark there. What does cathedral mean? Write an F next to the facts to distinguish between facts and opinion. I know that this chapter ended with a surprising fact. Lastly, you're going to look for a detail that supports the topic. So what detail supports the fact at the very end of the chapter? Wednesday, how would your life be different if you couldn't speak? Think about 1 or 2 examples of how your life would change. Thursday, what strategy did the author use to hook you? How did the author get your attention at the start of the chapter? Why were you hooked? And finally, summarize the excerpt. Remember, summary is about taking those ideas, those important information, cutting all of the extra stuff, and then writing it in your own words. And that should be maybe 2 or 3 sentences on Friday. Best of luck as you continue our reading process this week.